so let's get this deal started. So I think it's our ninth episode of Over the Edge with Captain Steve. We have Kyle today from Fishery by Trade, and he's a commercial fisherman in the
Friday going fishing
in the Atlantic, and he's going to we're going to talk to him for a little while, and he's going to tell us all about what he does.
Yeah, I mean, I started in Florida on the East Coast in Fort Pierce doing swordfish and tuna longlining. I ran with the Spanish mackerel guys in the wintertime, sometimes doing the gill nets, cast net, rod and reel. There's a lot of rod and reel lure fishing involved in that. That's pretty cool. I don't know if you ever tried that.
I have. I actually tried that recently, and I was not very successful at it.
Yeah, it's the big thing is having bait to chuck behind the boat when you get in them. You want to make sure you're marking them with your depth finder. You don't want to chase jumping fish. Like using tube lures, they make a lot of their lures with tubes. It'd be just like a hard plastic tube with a half-ounce, quarter-ounce sinker.
Kind of like a McDonald's straw.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And then I came up here for scallops because you make more money. That's about it. Doing the fish. It's like fish dragging, but we're dragging scallop dredges instead. I've done it on TikTok Live on a day boat a couple times, and
we just seen that before.
What is it?
I think I've seen that before, and you like chuck the scallops, and
AC was there.
They have like a little pearl in them or something.
Yeah,
some of them
have soft pearls, so I would just give them away.
Cool. So how do you tell us how you got started? You're from Fort Pierce originally?
Yeah. And I just walked up to the docks. I don't know. I think I was watching Deadliest Catch actually, and I just had enough. And I was like, I'm gonna go up to Fort Pierce and see, because there was a little sport fishing recreational dock, and I went up there. I knew there was like 2 or 3 charter boats. I asked them. They said to go up to the North Bridge. I'd grown up there my whole life and never knew that there was a whole small fleet of swordfish boats where all the way up to the Perfect Storm Grand Banks guys had been there. And I asked for a job and I left the next day. I made like $200 for a 10-day trip.
Wow. Did they at least feed you?
Yeah, I got to eat. I mean, that's kind of how it is with longline, and it ain't the best, but it was really interesting because it was the perfect storm. Like I caught my first swordfish, my first yellowfin tuna. I was kind of freaking out, so I went again, and I made $300. And then like 3 trips after that in a row were brokers. We didn't make any money, and it was like that for about 3 years trying to find a way in fishing. And I heard about the scallop boats on a 30-day long line trip. My captain was like, "Oh, New Bedford, those guys make $20,000 a trip." And I'm like, "What?" Like, I didn't even make that last year. And so one of those captains ended up bringing me up to New Bedford, and I just didn't get back on the boat. I was like, I pretty much quit. I was like, I'm going to stay here, and I got a job.
Nice. So you were just persistent, kind of like everything else if you're going to be successful.
Annoying is the word. You got to.
Annoying.
I mean, there was a lot of quota then, and the prices were lower. They were like $7-8 a pound. Now they're like 25 to 50. So,
gotcha. So how many boats are fishing up there for scallops? Like, there's a whole fleet of them that do that?
Oh yeah. This is New Bedford here, where I'm at, is the largest grossing port for seafood, and like,
wow.
I'm pretty sure the world or the U.S. Yeah, they make a lot of money. Like in April, May, when it starts up, there's an auction there that auctions everything off live, and they usually push a few 100,000 pounds of scallops alone daily.
Wow. Daily?
Sold. Yeah.
That's insane. That's a lot of.
They just have giant vats, and then they go into a room. The vats basically tell you to count numbers, and it's New Bedford, Massachusetts. And yeah, like on-call knows, they're just, everybody's going. Right now, it's like maybe 10,000 pounds a day. So
wow. So do they do that all year round? Are there seasons for scallops?
It's year round, but each boat gets a select amount of trips. So this year, you've got closed area trips and open bottoms. Open bottom is limited on days. So like this year we got 24 days or something like that. They can split it up as they want and get as much as they want. And then they have the closed area is, it used to be 18,000 pounds and you got to leave. Now it's 12. So they got 12 closed area trips. So two 12,000 pound trips and then like 24 days to look around. And that's it.
Yeah, that's wild. So who regulates that? NOAA? National Marine Fishery Council?
Fisheries, yeah. Them.
They regulate everything.
They're hardcore about it. And it's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
There are a select few boats that can pay the science program to go on special allotted trips. I've done that before.
Gotcha.
We went out, got 45,000 pounds in the closed area.
Wow.
10% of the fisheries.
They got to get their cut.
Anyhow, there was all of a sudden 20,000 pounds of scallop meats that were available.
So those closed areas, I mean, they have those like in the Gulf of Mexico where you're not allowed to fish. And I assume it's the same there. Like they just have like blocks blocked off where you're not allowed to go.
Yeah. The majority of the areas are all shut down. Like right now we're in area 2 and the open bottom areas are the same. But there's the mid-Atlantic access areas that's huge off Jersey and New York. The Elephant Trunk, I've never even seen that one open. There's one off Hudson's. There's a huge Nantucket area. Georgia's has an area. I believe that's area 2, but then there's area 1 below it or something. There's a lot of areas. They're all pretty much shut down. I mean, we could go get an unlimited amount of them. That's just how they keep them.
Yeah. I mean, commercial fishing, bro.
That and flounder. They always have observers out there watching the flounder populations. If they ever move into one of our areas, spawn, and we're out.
It's a dying business, a dying trade, you know. It seems like at least the U.S. fleet gets smaller and smaller, and it's harder and harder to make money. I mean, all fishing is like that, I think. Even charter fishing.
Really, that's kind of the only way you're going to do it now is to find. And with the TikTok, it's kind of interesting is maybe these small boats can find a way to reach customers on a large scale. That's what I'm trying to do. That's why I only go live when I'm on the boat because they hit so hard. So I'm trying to keep it where there are a few companies, like one I'm going hopefully scalloping with for a few days. It's Scallop Shack, the scallop truck, something like that.
Gotcha.
And he unloads all of his alive onto the truck and they go process them and bring them to farmers markets and stuff. So
Interesting.
On the table for the boat, and it's really about getting a wider audience, really.
Absolutely. I mean, I feel like TikTok has made it to where a lot of farmers and fishermen and stuff like that can really get their product out there without selling it to like a wholesaler.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, that's huge. So I'd like to be able to do that. At least help connect them, maybe. Because the fishermen are not too good with the cameras.
Yeah.
I'm not either, but it's more than a learning curve. Just like, I mean, they've been using the same Garmin sounders since the 30s, so they don't even know how to use a touchscreen.
Gotcha.
So like good fishermen that have been going all the time. They're a different crowd.
Oh yeah, I mean, like fishermen in general, and definitely
yeah.
Commercial fishermen are a different breed of people.
Yeah,
and they don't all want a camera in their face. I get that.
Oh, they hate it.
Yeah,
they hate it.
Absolutely,
but they get it. Like, it's good. It's not bad. It just depends on who's doing it. You can either have people like me videotaping, or you can let Discovery Channel spin it however they want. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
With the harpooning now, they got rid of wicked tuna, and now they're doing the harpoon boats, the stick boats.
Oh, yeah.
I might try to get on.
Have you ever done that?
I haven't, but I know people that do it, and I've seen them come up to the boat, or I've heard of them coming up to the boat. They actually throw the harpoon, and then they hit a switch, and it electrocutes them.
Oh, crazy.
Yeah, like in the video, some of them, you can see the tuna just go, because
That's wild.
Yeah, it turns their lights off immediately.
Huh.
And they get better fish that way because you don't get all that lactic acid buildup.
Right. You don't have to fight them, and all that stuff builds up. The meat gets hot and all that stuff.
And they get the first hit at the market because that's when they're running around on top. There'd be like hundreds of schools of them just swimming around.
And they just go right up to them and harpoon them and shock them, and
they pretty much just drop it right on top of them. The harpoons are pretty heavy because they got that big pulp that they can get out over top of them.
Yeah. I've seen videos of that before, but that'd be really cool to see in person.
I mean, it'll be pretty interesting to see how Discovery does it too, though, because they get good aim. Hey.
Oh yeah, I bet. So when is that going to be on the Discovery Channel? Do you know?
I don't know when they're doing that. I think it's coming soon. They've probably already been filming it. You never know.
Oh, yeah. So you were telling me yesterday you used to work over here in the Gulf of Mexico?
I made a trip over there with someone and in Fort Myers. It's pretty wild. That was during spring break. The captain is like a notorious pirate. He's not really supposed to be out in public. And I got him a drink that night, and we went to the infamous Lani Kai, where it's just like the paddy wagon's always picking people up. We got put in that with a bunch of college kids, and then the next day we went fishing, and the Gulf of Mexico was pretty horrible to me. I got the fish infection in my wrist from baiting out and just jellyfish. The line was coming in the boat on the spool over my head with jellyfish dripping on me. We literally ran out of water for 2 days. And we were like catching the AC dripping off the back of the. He was doing that.
You were drinking that?
Yeah, and he was saying he put wheel in it. Like, oh, it's fine. You can't even taste it.
That's terrible.
Might have contributed to the infection. He had a pig on the boat, which is bad luck in general.
Well, that's probably how you got your infection.
Yeah. Well, it was a squid because when you're baiting out, and then obviously we're taking some ice out of the ice hold at the end, and just it was a small boat, so the squid was getting kind of nasty.
So he had a pig on the boat, like living on the boat with him?
Yeah. A little miniature potbelly pig. You're allowed to have those. What he claimed, I don't know, but I know you're not allowed to have pet dogs because like poop and stuff like that. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
And he said that because pigs are a food product, it was allowed that way.
That's wild.
Yeah, that's what he said. And he kept the pig. I don't know. He got boarded by the Coast Guard, so he might have found a loophole. And that was just kind of his thing for a while. I don't know.
This emotional support pig.
Yeah. He might have played it that way. I don't know. I'm going to try to go fishing with him, though, because they just opened the Straits of Florida. Like we were talking about, they shut everything down. They actually reopened the Straits of Florida on the Gulf Stream right there.
Yeah. Like in between Key West and Cuba?
No, they call it the Straits because it kind of goes all through there. It starts there, but just the Gulf Stream in general, from like Miami up to Cape Canaveral and stuff, they can set their gear like 30 miles offshore. So
gotcha, and that's all long lining, like we see in your live stream.
Heavy swordfish. They used to fish in there, and they used to really get a lot of fish. Like they got pushed out of there by the sport fishing, but I think they found some kind of balance because the boats are obviously a lot smaller than they used to be. You're not going to see 100-foot steel hull riding around out there. Maybe you'll see like a 60-foot Bruno or something.
Gotcha. So you only did one trip in the Gulf?
Yeah, just that. I had to leave.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like that would.
I also did not make any money on that trip. That was a broken trip.
Gotcha. What were you guys fishing for out there?
Swordfish, tuna.
Okay.
We actually caught a kingfish. That was kind of crazy because we're like 100 miles out.
Maybe that's where they're all at now.
One random kingfish on the line.
That's pretty wild. Our kingfishing over here has been terrible for 3 or 4 years, probably.
It's a rough business.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm just charter fishing. You know, I'm just taking people out fishing. But I see, you know, what's out there. I'm out there, I don't know, 250 days a year or something. I see what's swimming around. And our kingfishing is not anywhere near what it used to be. Not even close.
Yeah, I believe that. I wonder if I can prop this thing up. I didn't actually get a stand. I didn't think about it. I thought it was just going to be
So you got to hold it.
That's not bad.
Oh, that's funny.
You
So
have a
you were
pig
on a
there?
boat with a pig. I can't wrap my head around that, but you know, I mean, commercial fishermen are a different breed, bro.
But so that was almost the end of Florida fishing for me. I just never really like there are good fishing boats. There's really good sites in Florida. It's just they're small boats, like the grouper guys. Like you
Yeah,
got to be
yeah.
in with these people and meet them. And I was still new to fishing. It only been 2-3 years, and then when you're known running with the longliners, like I don't know,
Right.
why are you on those boats? Like
Yeah. Well, then, you know, we have a big fleet here in Pinellas County. Madeira Beach is probably the biggest commercial fleet on the west coast of Florida.
someone reached out to me on Instagram. They got a grouper and shrimp boat. They go shrimping and grouper in Madeira Beach.
Yeah.
So I might go there because I just put some lines out. I'm gonna go to Florida for a couple months just because it's the dead season here and it's going to be booming up here again. I want to be able to get back up here in time.
Madeira Beach is wild, bro. I mean, I know some guys that fish over there. There's some characters for sure.
Nice. That'll be good. I like characters. I mean, I'm a Floridian too, so I
Oh
get
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Like Captain Eric, he's a good example. Have you
Oh
seen
yeah.
him on the
Oh yeah,
kayak?
I've seen him.
Oh, I like that.
Okay, so you went
Ooh, Advanced Crab. He's here. He's on the West Coast, right?
oh yeah. I've had him on before.
With you?
He actually came up here, I think back in October, whenever it was, September or something, and we tried to do some mackerel fishing here, and I was getting him really good like 2 days before he came up here, and I'm like, oh yeah, we're on him, bro. We're getting him one after another, and then he gets here and we can't get a bite. Yeah, so
That was for grouper.
now that was for Spanish mackerel.
Oh, they're so weird.
I mean, they just moved, you know. I'm like, well, they went somewhere else, or they don't want to bite, or
They're tough like that. I've seen that where I tried to do it with a 17-foot Mako on the East Coast, and you can't stay up with the fleet like that. And even those commercial guys, they're weirdos. They'll tell you the wrong thing on purpose.
oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
oh yeah, we're hitting them up in Vero, and then you're all ready to go up to Vero, and then you see them on Stewart. It's
Oh
like,
yeah, threw you a curveball.
yeah.
Yeah,
And
I think
mackerel
a lot
are
of
even
people
worse.
don't like that.
Sometimes they even just hug the reef. It's like where we are. There's a bull shark reef in Stewart. That's where they all kind of go to from there to Jupiter.
Yeah,
Sometimes they're just on that reef. That's when they throw those cast nets with the gill nets.
gotcha. Well,
Yeah,
they're
gill
allowed
net.
to they're allowed to gill net them down in South Florida still, right?
In federal waters, but not in state waters. So the trick was they got cast nets, left the tuck strings out of them, and just took gill net panels so it just lays over top of them, and then they just get tangled in it, and you pull it
Gotcha.
up straight and just pick them out.
Gotcha. So they found a loophole.
Yeah, and I mean it's legal. It's definitely not as it's more targeted than the traditional 100
Yeah.
200 yard gill net. You just got a little 18-foot open.
Well, they used to do that here. I think they banned gill nets up here in the 90s or something.
Yeah, they all got banned all over.
Yeah.
They're pretty aggressive. They do it up here. Their gill nets up here are nuts. They don't even make them out of mono. They set them way offshore with like twine for the dragger nets,
Yeah.
and they do like 2-3 day sets.
Oh wow.
Yeah, not like an hour or so. This thing
That's
sits out
crazy.
there for days just on the bottom, just grabbing everything. It's pretty nuts.
That is
Gill netting's pretty brutal. I never got into nets. I don't have anything against it, but
yeah. No, I get
never learned
that.
it. There's a lot of mesh tying and stuff.
Oh yeah, I guess you would have to be good at that. I'm sure they get sharks and everything in those things, right?
Bull shark swim right into the net. Would have loaded with mackerel. He just swims directly
yeah.
into it and starts biting everything. It's nuts.
Probably tear it all to hell.
Put giant holes in it. They'll rip every single panel's got teeth just bit right through it.
Gotcha.
Brutal.
Okay, so you went from Fort Myers and then you went up the East Coast there, huh?
Florida, or back to the East Coast for a little bit. Fished over there. It was the same thing. Just a tough living. And then when I made the trip with Billy Kingett, he's a legend. That guy's one of the Grand Banks guys, the Perfect Storm. And I made a trip with him. We left from Fort Pierce. It was supposed to be a 2-week trip. We ended up taking the Big Eye from the National Geographic series, a 55-foot boat. We took it to Puerto Rico.
Oh, crazy.
I didn't know we were going to do that. But so we fished all the way around Puerto Rico from the western side. We went all through those passes, and we made like 6 or 7 sets around, and we came around into Old San Juan. I made a few $1,000s, so I was pretty surprised, and it was fun. Then we went up to the Seamounts. That's 800 miles east of Fort Pierce.
Gotcha.
And that's like the Grand Banks of the South. So I think we got like 20,000 pounds, all big fish, in like 9 sets. So I made good money there, and it kind of like, it stirred it up in me again, because I was gone for like 38 days, but I got to do some traveling, and I came back with like 5 or 6 grand. So I was like, oh man, maybe there's something here. So I called another fleet, because he was going to Puerto Rico, and I didn't want to do all that. And then I got in with the Eagle Eye fleet. And they have 3 boats, the Eagle Eye 1, the Eagle Eye 2, and the Islander. I believe all 3 of them been in a perfect storm. They were on the right side of it, though. They were still on the front. And I got on with the Islander, and that boat brought me up to New Bedford. And then that was when I saw the hundreds of boats, and I was like, I'm probably going to stay here.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like...
It didn't work out. I ended up going back for a trip or 2. And then came back, but I'd met a guy from Maine who I still know now. He's a captain here, and he ended up getting me in. So
you're
like,
in.
Yeah, I'm in now, I guess. In as much as everybody, but we're all
Right.
out right now. So it's not too bad. As long as you get in with the Scallop boats, they know that you can fish, and you can kind of try to find other jobs. Like lobstering's really good right now, and crabs, Jonah crabs.
So they do that all winter up there, lobstering?
The lobster, not so much. I don't know what. I think the lobster move like offshore, so only the big boats can get them. But they switch over to crab, Jonas crab. It's like a new kind of crab. They've always been around, but it's like there's a market being built. When I was in Key West, they were selling Jonah crabs next to the stone crabs.
Oh, crazy.
The cheap option.
Yeah.
Stone crabs are good.
So do they, what kind of, I don't even know what kind of crab that is. What do they look like? They sell the whole crab?
It's a weird crab. It's just basically kind of like a stone crab, but more like compacted and stuff. But he's very similar to the stone crabs, not like a king crab or anything like that. And then there's red crab. Those look like the Opelios, little tiny, thin red legs. And fish dragon, like cod and haddock. Those guys always do good in the wintertime. Their prices go up when the small boats can't go. And then, like, I might go with Tackle to the People. Is that the name of it? His buddy is going out tomorrow for cod, and he's like the only person that can go in the center console. So when all those guys stay in, the fish draggers do real good.
Gotcha. So are they they're running long lines from a center console?
No, they're just doing little ground fish permits with rod and reels.
Oh, okay.
Like anyone would do a grouper and snapper, but it's a lot easier to get those fish than grouper and snapper. They're not like held up in a reef.
Right.
They run along these ledges and stuff, and it's just massive schools of them. So wherever I've been fishing, ground fishing, it's like 500 feet deep, but whenever you drop your line, you're going to get fish. Like I would put my 80 wide out when I was tuna fishing with like 6 hooks on it and just bring up 6 haddock every time.
Oh, crazy.
It was crazy.
So they're loaded up. Is that kind of like grouper and snapper fishing in the Gulf? Like you have an allotted, like an IFQ basically?
For the cod? Yeah.
Yeah.
They do. They have an individual quota, the individual fish quota, and it got real messy.
Oh, yeah. It's messy down here.
Yeah, that's what they do. They did it with the bluefin. Is rich people like to buy a cheap boat and then buy a shitload of permits in Quota.
Oh,
'Cause
yeah.
it's like buying stocks. It's not.
That's exactly right.
Boats are terrible, but these quotas have all been tripling in price, and it's like, well, they're getting traded around with rich people. That's what they always do.
Oh, yeah. And then they lease them out to
The
people.
price of the fish goes up with it, so
Yeah.
it's been kind of a terror on the industry, I think.
So do they lease those out to fishermen? Basically, you can go. Yeah.
So if I don't have any IFQ to go scalloping, because they do it for day boats, not the big boats, but the day boats have IFQ, the small guys. And if I want to go fishing for my 600 pounds for the day, I'd have to buy quota or lease it for like $12 a pound. Then I'll get paid like 18 to 20.
Gotcha.
So they're all just going fishing for a little bit less of a price, and they're making money.
Yeah. It's the same way here.
Permits.
You know, it makes it difficult for the small guy to make money that way. Like if you're gonna buy grouper and snapper permits here, it's gonna take you years to be able to make that money back.
Yeah.
Fishing, you know?
It's crazy.
It is crazy. It's like sharecropping. What's that?
I think it's like $30,000 for a grouper.
For a permit?
Yeah, for commercial.
It is, yeah. I mean, even the charter and headboat permits here in the Gulf have. I mean, when I bought my first charter boat, that was about 10 years ago. You could buy a federal reef permit here in the Gulf for $8,000, $10,000, and now 30 to 40.
That's crazy. What an investment.
Yeah, oh yeah.
They did better than Tesla.
That's right.
That's my buddy calling.
Oh yeah, it's a great investment if you have the money to put into it. If you can go buy a permit and buy a bunch of so now you have people that own like 1 million pounds of red snappers.
Wow.
You know, and they're just leasing it out, and it's worth like $40 a pound or something if you want to buy the IFQ. And it makes it hard for the little guys to make money.
Right.
You know, but that's just the world we live in. I mean, like you said, they're buying and selling it like stock.
Yep. They do it with farms. They do it with everything.
Oh yeah.
Just had to get with it. Should have went to college, I guess.
I guess so.
Hey, Alexa's here. Got our mods in.
Cool. I'm
hoping to maybe do some more traveling before Scallops opens and try to do some long YouTube videos.
Yeah.
Because I got that invention I was telling you about. I want to switch to that at some point in the later summer. And I need to get some long videos made up. I think I'm going to try to travel around and show like what it's like to get a job on a fishing boat. Because I get a lot of questions about like how to get a job. And there's nowhere to look for fishing jobs on the internet like everything else.
You got to go there.
Yeah, because even when I tried Googling it before, it would send me to like some deadliest catch looking stuff, but it's just a factory trawler that you're basically a McDonald's worker stuck at sea.
Oh, yeah.
Terrible.
I've actually had people on my charter boat that worked on those boats. They worked for McDonald's.
Yeah.
Like in Alaska, and they just worked in a factory on a ship, basically. Yeah.
Fish is a pollock. I mean, usually.
Yeah, they were making those like fillet of fish freaking squares for McDonald's, you know.
On the boat.
Yeah, pretty wild. I could never see myself doing that. There's no way.
Yeah, no,
I'd rather work at McDonald's than do that.
Process of boats. I don't like long trips at sea. Like 30-day trips are kind of like old news for me.
Yeah.
I would take the channel on one, maybe to the Grand Banks, but I'm not really trying to go to one.
I feel that.
He's going to possibly be going with me as a camera guy. Try to figure it out somehow where he goes as the cameraman and I basically go do the job.
Yeah.
Nice. Be cool.
That's what I need. I need a cameraman.
It's hard not having one.
It really is.
You can't just set these things down. I'm on like my third Galaxy S24 this year.
Oh yeah, I've gone through a few myself. It is brutal. So what's the craziest weather you've been in out there?
20, 25 footers, like 50-mile-an-hour winds. It gets like that in the nor'easters. There's like a couple videos on the channel of what it looks like. And like the worst stuff I've been in, I haven't gotten good videos. Because now that all of a sudden I have a YouTube channel, I can't seem to get in anything over 10 foot. It's like 6 to 10 foot on these boats is like just enough to be annoying, but not enough to videotape. And I'm like, dude, 10 foot for 8 days. Like, when are we going to get some 20s rolling? Because they look cool. They look like houses. So it's like big seas, but the boats take it. I mean,
careful what you wish for, though.
Yeah, I might end up going with my buddy, but I'd like to see it. I mean, it's kind of cool being in big seas on like a nice big Highliner boat, because you just 20-foot seas is very standard. You'll fish in that.
Gotcha.
But the smaller boats were the scary ones. Like when I was doing center console rides with the commercial dudes and like 6-foot waves breaking over on the beach. It's like, man, this thing rolls like being in a Jeep. Just water doesn't mean it's like good. And I had a Carolina Classic, a 28-footer, and I learned a lot about the outgoing tides up here one night with a buddy of mine. He's a longliner. He's been to the Flemish Cap. We were both pretty scared, like, because I was going right in between Martha's Vineyard and some little island shoal, and there's like a little tuck channel there that it's on the chart, but it doesn't really say. To an inexperienced boater, you wouldn't understand, but like you get sucked out into the ocean, and you've got all that southern Atlantic below you.
Yeah,
there was like a 3 to 5 foot swell coming in from there from the south, and when we were getting pulled out, you could feel the boat start to do this.
Oh yeah.
Boy, this is gonna get interesting. And we ended up going into like 6-foot waves because it's maybe 100 yards of shoals that are like 16 feet deep, and then it drops off to 600. So those big waves are just like
breaking right on it.
That was probably the scariest, really. And I was driving, so it was even worse. But
I'd rather be driving than not, personally. Yeah.
We didn't even talk to each other. We were going out. It was nighttime. We didn't even talk to each other for like an hour or two. We're just looking out the window like, oh, man.
I remember the first storm I was in over here. I was a deckhand on a charter boat. And we're headed in. We were actually anchored up, and a guy called us on the radio, and he was like, you guys need to pull your anchor now and probably start heading in. It just hit us, and it went from like a beautiful, slick, calm day. And we get those cold fronts over here where it'll just, in 10 or 20 minutes, it goes from slick, calm to 6 or 8 foot and just nasty out.
Yeah, the Gulf's weird.
Oh, yeah. And it's really choppy over here, so it's not like a big swell. The shit's like right on top of each other. It makes it freaking terrible. Right. So we're out there, and I'm up on the bow pulling the anchor up, and that's when the front came through. Pushed the boat around sideways, just from the wind. And we got the anchor in the boat, and we're headed in, and I'm sitting there. I was just pretty much a fresh deckhand at that point, and I'm sitting up top with the captain. And we have customers on board. And, we're surfing down the backside of these waves, and it's pushing this damn boat left or right, whatever it wants to do.
Right.
It feels like you're going to roll over. Yeah.
Yeah.
And every wave, I'd be like, man, this is a big one. And he was finally like, just shut the fuck up.
Oh, there'll be big ones from now on.
I know they're big ones. You don't have to tell me about every one,
Oh, yeah. Pretty wild. I'd imagine being on the smaller boats is scarier. Like my buddy, he was a Flemish Cap guy. He'd been on big boats, like 50-foot seas. Like he's seen some really scary stuff. And because that's when it gets scary, like 40-footers, 30 plus. I saw 35-foot seas, I think, in the Navy on a ship. And I popped my head out for a second to look at it because you're not really allowed to. And those are big waves.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's...
Those still, the 20-footers don't look like those.
No.
It's like...
Oh, yeah.
Looking nuts. But,
so you were in the Navy?
Yeah.
What kind of boat were you on?
2 years. I was on a, what is it? An LPD, a literal marine taxi cab, a gigantic cruise ship. Yeah. It was all right. I mean, it really wasn't for me at the time, but I got out. I got my benefits, so it was all right. We went over to Persian Gulf. It was fun. I learned some stuff, but being on a marine ship's kind of boring.
Yeah.
Just sitting there.
You ever been seasick before?
Yeah. On the Nova Blue, the most recent live stream boat. That boat got seasick on Thanksgiving night. We were going out, and it's just like, that boat ride's crazy. It thrashes and just, it's like it jumps out of the water onto its side, and it's like it has an up over motion for whatever reason. That thing's like a bobber, and that boat had me seasick. I thought I was gonna, I didn't throw up, but I really wanted to throw up.
Gotcha. I've been there. I've been seasick a few times. It's always on little boats though. Those little boats get you, boy.
Oh yeah,
they're just snappy.
Yeah, it's like my buddy. He didn't like it. He's been on big boats and big seas, and when he was on my little boat, he's like, "Bro, I don't know, man. It's a small boat. Like they can get beat up in the ocean, especially when we've seen it out there. That's like when we were going out in those shoals. I'd seen 20-footers not far from there, and I was like, oh man."
So, what's the craziest thing you've seen on a commercial boat? You've seen guys crash out before and lose their shit?
Oh yeah, like getting mad.
Yeah. Want to go home and
yeah, like one guy in Florida, I ain't gonna mention his name, I respect him, but he kind of lost it one time. He was getting ready to beat everybody up. It's nuts. Especially in Florida. The guys in Florida are some really great, because those boats, especially the long line boats, I'm not gonna call them out because there's a lot of professional longliners still left, and some of them are just like, they're catching drifters, because they're going all over the place. It's hard to find crew. They've got a place to live, no background checks, so you don't really know who you can get on with those boats. Like I've definitely had people fresh out of prison.
Oh yeah, that sounds like Madeira Beach.
I like the Scallop boats because we got a lot more clean stuff. Because like in New Bedford, there was 5 years ago, an illegal immigrant was on one of these boats, and he smashed one guy in the head with a hammer, and I think he stabbed another person, killed him. He was like trying to disable the wiring and stuff. They were right next to us. We could see it. It was like crazy. The Coast Guard ended up getting it under. He's drugs, withdrawn from drugs. They get the drugs up here, and they can lose their mind if they don't get them. So
yeah, absolutely.
I guess he wanted to go in, and they were like, "We're not going in. They're not going to take you in."
Yeah, no.
I mean, technically, they legally have to. They don't really tell people that. But I guess this captain wasn't doing it.
Well, yeah, you're costing them a lot of money and fuel and time and
tens of thousands of dollars easy.
Yeah, that's brutal.
It's going to get spent again. Like, they don't really like doing that. That's your number one way to never go fishing again, is to like just be like, oh no, not only do I quit, I want everybody to quit with me. That's that's a big.
So I'm sure they all talk to each other, and they're like, "Oh, this guy did this," and
and then now Facebook, you'd be surprised how connected the fishermen are on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely,
it gets around.
So, do all the boats out there probably have Starlink and that sort of deal going on now?
Yeah. So that's like the Coast Guard now, like she's saying, like they could call the Coast Guard and you could have like a lot of trouble. You don't want to be, because it's considered holding someone against their will. If they want to go in, you really can't. So that's why that rule and that kind of situation has made it very hard to get on trip boats now. Now it's like, especially if it's a boat that makes money and goes far offshore, big boats, like they're really not trying to experiment with people.
Yeah, I get that.
They'll call someone they don't like. I've got people that have called me. They don't really like me, but they'll call me fishing if that's all it's around. Like they'll be like, well, shit.
They know you'll show up and work.
And know I'm going to go fishing.
Not want to go home.
Yeah, maybe I'll goof around a little too much and they won't like that, but
I mean, you got to keep it fun.
They hate it when I have the camera on my head. That got me out of a lot of loops.
Yeah, I mean,
I know he pulls his camera out. I'm like, well, whatever.
Yeah, I've had to deal with a little bit of that.
they're all independent. There's thousands of boats. That's why I've always liked fishing. I can go where I want. If I don't like this job, I can go over here.
Sure.
Kind of like a free bird. And yeah, I like how you can do that. As long as you do your thing, like you know the basic rules of it to do your job. Don't cry about dumb stuff. Like don't quit. Don't hit people. Like they really don't like
everybody.
fighting. Yeah, drugs. They've always got their eyes out for drugs.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know. A lot of consolidating happening. So
Yeah. Like other companies buying companies out and that sort of deal.
that and just boats are going overseas, so it's like that and just there's other ways to make money. Now there's people getting on the internet making videos, so a lot of dynamics are changing.
Yeah, that really changes the dynamic of everything.
Mm-hmm.
It does in the charter business too, like being able to put the name of your business and your brand out there has really changed how to market a charter company.
Huge. Like Mark the Shark in Fort Lauderdale.
Yeah,
He's huge. He has like 300,000 followers.
I know, it's crazy.
He's got. He just goes shark fishing. But
People like that stuff too. They want to go catch sharks. I'm not a big fan of that. but
I
but
don't
a lot
really
of people want to do that, you know?
I don't know why they want to catch them, but
I don't either. Because they're big.
maybe a giant shark. I know one shark I'd like to see. Like Crazy Things was that Mako shark I was talking about.
Yeah.
That was nuts. On George's, that was actually the trip I came up to New Bedford on. We started in Beaufort, South Carolina, and then we came up from Beaufort, South Carolina. We fished through the canyons. They basically pass by, make a set, see, talk to a couple fishermen, and he kept going to George's, and that's where we went to George's Bank. And we were just making sets, and we were overrun by bluefins in particular, and then the quota structure kind of messed it up. And those guys have cameras on the boat, so we're pulling up these 300-400-pound bluefins with hand lines in front of the camera on like the hauling station, like trying not to get seen. That was nuts.
Yeah.
But eventually we pulled one up, and it was bit in half.
Oh,
We're
wow.
like that's not yellowfin tuna. Like,
Yeah.
what bit that in half? And then the Mako swam up next to the boat. We're on like a 70-foot steel hull, and it was huge. Like, it looked like Jaws. And he had a blue shark, the guy Swanee, and it was like all wrapped up. They get wrapped up in the line into a ball, and he cut it loose, and the shark started like unraveling, and the Mako just came out from under the boat and ate him whole in like 3 bites. It was like a 5-foot shark. It ate it like a mullet. Like, yeah, it was a big shark. We harpooned it, and 4 of us couldn't get it in. We had it hooked up with like tar line rope.
Yeah.
And 1,100-pound test doubled up for the tip, and it broke it.
That's insane.
We had a gaff next to the boat, but it broke all the gaffs and eventually broke the line. That was like pretty nuts.
How much do you think that thing weighed? Over 1,000 pounds?
He said something like that, 700 or 800 pounds. It was a big one.
Yeah, that's a massive shark. I've seen probably a dozen Makos here over the years. They usually come through here in the wintertime.
Right. That's my favorite fish. I love them.
I like them too. I really want to catch one. I've never caught one. I've hooked 2 of them out here before, and
yeah, they're nuts. You get them, they get going, that's for sure.
I've never, like, we're not set up for that kind of fishing here so much. We're like grouper and snapper fishing or king mackerel fishing. So when you hook something that big and it jumps out of the water 4 times, it just, there's not much you can do with it. You got to be pretty damn lucky to get it in.
Yeah, and you got to get lucky too, because
Yeah.
anyone I've ever seen, like one big one we saw was hooked in the dorsal fin. Like, because if it's in their mouth, it's over. You're not.
Oh,
getting-
yeah.
They're very sharp teeth.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. How many white sharks have you seen out there?
I've not seen one.
You've never seen one?
I don't think so.
Dang.
Those
I wanna
guys
see
in the
one of
Keys,
those, yeah.
they get the heads up. That Keys Fresh Seafood I was with, they're in Stock Island. It's
Yeah.
2 guys. They got a loan back during COVID from some private guy, and they bought this huge marina just outside of Key West. And they're on it. And they go out with Shark Week. They get the drop on white sharks all the time. whenever they come down there. Last winter I was there and they were trying to chase one down. But here in P-Town, where I might go scalloping on Friday, if I can get on this boat, that's where the great whites are. That place is crazy. I went in there once with my boat, and it's like there's a beach, and then it just goes down 1,000 feet.
Crazy.
That's the fist of Massachusetts, like the arm thing. The fist is P-Town. And it's like seals everywhere, great whites everywhere. It's a pretty crazy place.
That's wild. I was in Rhode Island a couple of years ago, and I wanted to see a seal while I was there, but I guess it wasn't the right time of year or something. I guess they come up in there in the wintertime, and we were a little early.
I just saw the big harbor seal in New Bedford yesterday. They got like 2 or 3 of them. They're huge. Probably like 400-pound seal.
That's huge.
Yeah, they're very big to be in New Bedford. It's a spot they probably fought for a long time.
Yeah, gotcha.
Being right there at the largest auction in the world.
Oh, yeah.
That's a special spot.
That's pretty crazy. I've never seen a seal, being a Florida boy. I'm like, man, if I really want to see one in person.
Go scalloping. Let me know. I was saying something about going scalloping in Ocean City, Maryland. I'd be down for that.
How far south do they do that? They do it all the way down the coast, or?
Yeah. I don't know how far the areas go, but it's like right at New York and Jersey. I know the mid-Atlantic starts, and I think it gets too warm.
Gotcha.
But even those guys, they'll come up to our areas a lot. There's a lot of boats from South Carolina that go to New Bedford.
Gotcha.
There's people from South Carolina that live in New Bedford. It's just for taxes. Jimmy Hahn on Facebook. Got it.
Oh yeah, I guess they probably don't have state taxes in South Carolina.
Oh yeah.
So that's smart. If you got a boat and you can travel around, it's smart to be somewhere where you
can avoid the unemployment stuff. Like I worked with Southern boats this year, and like if you work with a Massachusetts boat, you can actually collect unemployment once they let you off the quote. Yeah, it's crazy.
Huh.
But I know if you're with the Southern boats, you don't get that option. That's who I was with this year on the Sassy Girl.
Gotcha. So what do you think about this TikTok ban crap that might happen?
I kind of hope it doesn't happen, but I also have Instagram and YouTube, so it's like, but for the invention though, I definitely like the live streams.
Yeah.
Like, those live streams on the fishing boats are kind of like an ace in the hole. I know I don't do it a lot to people that are watching it because I know they like the lives, but it's like I feel like if I'm not on a boat doing something good, they won't hit as hard.
Oh yeah, definitely not.
Fisherman in me, I'm superstitious. Like I don't really want to try it. Like sometimes I'll be at the dock and they're like, "Oh, we're doing gear work, go live," and I'm like, "No."
They're not going to be as interested in that as pulling tunas over the
not
top.
as cool. Like even if we're just hauling longline gear and it's flat out, it's not as interesting as when it's like in the thick of it.
Yeah. That makes
I've been
sense.
testing out an editor, so from those videos, I definitely need to get out. I'm trying to figure something out, but I need more structure.
Yeah.
See if I can make something happen with the YouTube.
I've been trying to get into the YouTube side of it, and I've really just I've been on the other platforms for a while, and I've never really like posted stuff there, So I just recently started I've been posting daily on there and trying to.
Yeah, the reels are huge.
Yeah.
They live stream too. I got the readout from my live stream, and I was getting $9 per 1,000 views, I think.
Oh wow, that's really good.
Wow. Sometimes those live streams get like 400,000 views on TikTok.
I mean, if you did that on TikTok, that'd be great if they paid more, No, it doesn't make much.
Because I got the business account, and then early on when we were doing the scalloping lives, I got banned from promoting products. I can't, even if it's mine on the TikTok shop, I can't pin them in my lives anymore.
I've had the same deal. It's like the same crap. I'm like, well, it's my product. I'm actually wearing it, and because I'm not actively talking about it the whole time.
They want you set up like QVC.
That's exactly what they want. They want it like the Home Shopping Network. Like they want you in front of the camera just talking about the product that you're selling. If you walk away from the camera for 2 minutes, you get violated.
Yeah, they're pretty brutal. My friend's wife does it. She's really good at it, but she does it their way. I mean,
That's what you have to do, you know. Otherwise,
my
yeah.
live even got hit down a few bumps. So usually when they do that, I'll just stay off it. And I want to get some lives going again, but it's hard to do the lives because I get so distracted.
Oh
And
yeah.
when I was trying to make the long YouTube videos, I went back and looked at them. I'm like, I wasn't paying attention.
Oh yeah.
Like, it's weird. The long videos are tough because there's so much data and videos you got to get organized, and then microphones and other angles.
Oh yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah, that part is tough. I'm trying to figure that out myself. I feel like I need like a professional video editor to make all that a thing.
There's a guy that I watch. I forget what it is, but he travels all over the world. And if you really just watch his videos and play with the like Premiere Pro, you could kind of figure it out. Like he's not doing anything crazy, but he's getting 3 to 10 million views on these long videos, but it's interesting content. It's edited right. Like you can't just let it run.
Yeah, that's definitely like an art form. The whole
Oh yeah.
digital.
And then you
Yeah.
gotta be thinking about it while you're videotaping. So it's like I'll be doing this, making a video like that, and it's like, well, he probably did that like 5 times and
Oh
wrote
yeah.
it down. Like he's got a checklist of different things he wants to get. I don't know. If I get a template put up, I'll let you know. I'm trying to figure
Okay.
something out with a scallop boat. Somebody that I can go fishing with, and they have something to gain from being on the internet. So
Yeah.
it's better. Like helping them sell scallops would be nice.
Right.
And
So what's your invention? Do you mind talking about that?
I've got it. The last few videos I uploaded were memories from it, and it's just like the fishing lures for Bass Pro, like soft plastics.
Uh-huh.
I took that material and I made an adjustable wrap that the fish can go into. You just slip his head over it, pull down on a little O-ring, and
Yeah.
it will just like hug them. But the way that it actually works, because you can't just take like a loop of soft plastic, he'll pop right out of it.
Right.
And so what I did is I took like a U-shaped band, kind of like a gutter channel, and
Uh-huh.
I folded that over itself to where it overlaps into itself. And instead of making like a little wrap, it makes like a spherical wrap because
Gotcha.
the edges want to overlap.
Yeah.
And then with that, I put some super glue, which I got to change it, but it's because it's a utility patent. The friction doesn't matter, but there's like teeth inside of it,
Yeah.
and it catches fish. So I don't know if it's better than putting hooks in. I know my shiners in my aquarium, I'd put it on them on like a bobber to swim around. They'd be alive for like 3 days swimming around with the hook on them. I'm like,
That's pretty good.
well, that's interesting on its own. Then you can change the colors. That's interesting from the marketing perspective, like,
Yeah.
because there's so many ways you can make it, and I can add weight to them. I started making like little tungsten putty breastplates and putting it under where their chest is.
Uh-huh.
So instead of my bait sinking upside down, he'll sink straight down. Like stuff like that for bluefin. You get a lot of hits going down.
That's
And
kind of cool.
yeah, so those little
Probably
things.
work for like kingfish and stuff like that too, I bet.
I want to bring it to those guys because
Yeah.
I wonder if it helps with lack of gut hooks and more hooks in the mouth.
Yeah.
So the kingfish would definitely be a good teacher of that.
Oh yeah.
Either you're going to catch them hooked up right or they're not.
Right.
Because I can put wire inside them too. Like I can recess like 8-pound surf strand wire into the harness to make it really strong. I'd never got to that point because of the manufacturing involved, but there's a lot of ways to make it. I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds like a heck of a good idea.
I've licensed it to one company, but they licensed it, and that was going to be for like a 5% royalty, but then they started hiking interest rates like next month. So I think everybody's ambition kind of left the table, and everybody went into damage control for the last few years or something. It definitely
Hopefully that's
wasn't
gonna
like
change.
like but we'll see.
Have you seen any drones up there?
No, just mine until I sunk it.
Did you sink your drone?
I've sunk like 4 drones already. The
Oh,
DJI
dang.
minis, like they're expensive too. Every time I see one go, it's like $800.
Dang.
They land themselves though. Like I was landing on a lobster boat and it was windy, and it goes into this auto landing mode, and it's just like it's going down so slow, and the wind's just blowing it back, and I'm like, what are you gonna do? Like, what did it do? It went right off the back of the boat and landed in the water.
That sucks.
It's like they build them to flood instantly and sink. There's like absolutely no give when they hit the water. When they hit the water, it's like okay.
Done.
Yeah. Landing
That's
slow in the air, and then once they touch water, they fill every single space and go.
Yeah, I have one. I haven't played around with it a whole lot on the boat yet. I'm a little worried about that. I got to have like the perfectly. What I'd like to do is like when I'm trolling and we get a couple fish on and it's like the perfect weather, I could have the drone like flying over top of the fish.
Oh yeah, they are nice.
So we could like watch the fish jump and do all that stuff.
I'm gonna get another one, so I'm not gonna give up on it. Like when you fly it right, and I was always playing Grand Theft Auto when I was little, flying airplanes, so I got
Right.
like a little knack for it until it's time to land.
Yeah.
But the hack on that is if you get the Best Buy plan, as long as it doesn't sink, they'll replace it. So
Gotcha.
next time I get a drone, I'm just gonna get a butterfly net and I'm just gonna catch it and let it break, and I'll bring it to Best Buy.
Just make sure you get.
I've put
good
like
video.
$3,000 into DJI. I got my money in, so I'm gonna try that out and see if that'll work. But yeah, they take great shots. Like
Yeah.
you can't beat it, especially the new ones.
That's what I have. One of those little DJI or DJI or something like that. Minis. I've only played with it once though. I really need to mess around with it a little more.
Oh, they're cool. They get some good shots.
Yeah. Well, shots that you just can't get from the boat, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, doing drones on boats is hard.
Yeah.
I recommend you get like a net.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Definitely.
Get out of the air. Don't even trust it. Don't trust yourself. Just net it right out of the air. I tried it on 60-foot boats. It's just not good.
Yeah.
That was when it always worked, was with the longline boat. It would just crash into the wall. So
Yeah. That's better than it going in the water. Like you said, at least you can get it, replace it.
yeah, I might try what they're saying in the chat.
Like a styrofoam deal on
It
it.
might be worth it. I
Or
know
a
they
pool
made some
noodle.
of it already on it, so that'd be an interesting thing to check.
Yeah. Something to try out anyway.
Nice.
So I saw your tuna video with the huge bluefin like coming up.
Oh yeah,
That's pretty
There's a
awesome.
video that, like, set this channel off.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that was unedited. That's all natural. That just happened like that. Like sound. There's something about that video. No matter what you do, it goes viral. Like
Easy.
I posted that and maybe a couple other videos on Instagram, and I had 140,000 followers in like a month.
Wow. That's insane.
That video just hit. So it got 50 million views in like 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, that's an awesome video.
Like, yeah. I mean, I got a lot of videos of those fish doing stuff like that, but
That's the one, huh?
that's the one. I mean, I've tried it. I've tried different videos where we were running and there was even bigger fish, and sometimes they were eating flounder and just doing cool stuff, and it never took off like that video.
Yeah. That's
that one was
amazing.
a natural ocean gift.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I've how many TikTok followers do you have now? You got a couple 100,000 or something? Or-
98,000.
That's pretty good.
I had 300,000. I've lost like 2,000 followers not going live.
Yeah, you'll lose them. I do that too. If I'm not live like daily, I'm like, well, I lost 20 today and then 20 the next day. And I'm like, I don't know where they go. But I think a lot of those accounts might be fake accounts.
Well, that, and I think people like will hit the follow button as just another way to signal themselves into the chat.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, absolutely.
App, and they'll say Fishery by Trade liked it, and they'll say like that, and the bots too. Though I feel like they get erased.
Yeah, I think they get banned or something.
But I know I've done it before. I'd be like, I follow someone like, hey, I'm here.
Oh yeah.
Probably wasn't really following it, but I did.
That definitely happens.
But yeah, hopefully they don't get rid of TikTok because like my invention, I'd like to switch. I would go live every day if I have those up and running. I only need a little bit of investment because I've already made a mold for them.
Uh-huh.
So there's only a couple pieces I need and a good place to do it. And then that's why I'd like to get these videos done, get another scallop season, and go like tuck off in the woods in Georgia or something, go on like a molding campaign.
Oh yeah.
I need a lot of them. I make them for like 5 cents, and I was selling them for $1. I was selling them for more than $1.
That's pretty good.
Yeah. So, and their favorite thing is the shiner. So I'll just sit there in a lake and catch bass all day.
Heck yeah.
The ambush predators like those wraps. I think most because when they have it on them, especially with like a clear silicone wrap,
Uh-huh.
instead of putting a hook in them, they've got this like uncomfortable, bulky thing on them. And as long as the fish can't tell it's on him, he's got this weird wobble swim to him.
Gotcha.
And he's got to be making those wavelengths just right, because I've seen bass come out of the grass and like instantly just hit it instant. Like whatever the bait was doing, it's like if you smack a bait and you throw it in there and it's like,
Yeah, yeah.
that's them, but they ain't gonna die. They swim
Right.
like that, but they don't die. They're gonna
That
live
makes
long.
it look like they're wounded or
Yeah. And
yeah.
then you start putting different color patterns. You could even recess like little micro rattles into them.
Gotcha.
Like catfishing.
Oh yeah.
I'd like to try that at a few stock ponds. Easy place to fish.
Oh yeah. That sounds like my kind of fishing.
Yeah, they're cool. Stock ponds are great.
I'm a way bigger fan of catching than fishing.
Yeah, me too.
I get all anxious if they're not biting, boy. I don't like it.
Yeah. But I do have my friend calling me. I don't know. We could do this another time possibly, or
Yeah, no, I think we're at a good spot here.
nice.
I'd love to have you on again sometime, though. It was a pleasure talking with you, Kyle.
Next time I can try to be on a boat or something.
Yeah. Yeah, okay.
I wasn't 100% ready today.
That's all right. I think you did great.
T-shirt and a
Heck yeah. Well, it was a pleasure. Good luck out there. Good luck on your invention, and good luck finding a scallop boat to jump on there this week.
Yeah, I'll be in touch. Whenever I get to Florida, maybe we can hang out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, bro.
Fishing. I'd like to go fishing.
Hell yeah.
Even just to shoot the shit, you know?
Yeah, yeah. We go do some grouper
America,
fishing.
is that still happening?
What's that?
The Gulf of America?
Oh yeah, it's the Gulf of America now. I mean, you can't go back.
Nice. I know that guy, Dick Jagger. I met him. The guys in the Keys know him real well. He does all the sport fishing songs and stuff like that.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
been on the Gulf of America forever.
Cool, brother. Well, it was nice talking with you.
Good to see everybody.
Yes,
I'll be
sir.
on soon, though. I try to find something. It's cold and everybody's indoors for now, so.
Oh yeah.
Next.
All
Have
right.
a good day, though. I appreciate it having me on.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming on.
Nice. Bye.
Have a good one.